So with that, we will move into an interesting IT field called as Scrum. So how many of you know about Scrum? Type KNOW. If you don't know, type NO in the chat box. NO means you don't know. KNOW means you know. I'm going to go over slowly and steadily on this. And for those, I wanted to let you know that I'm not a pro in software development. I'm basically from engineering, manufacturing background. But after becoming a consultant, I thought that this lean and agile management, the Kanban boards, all that was useful in software industries also. And I had an opportunity to consult a software company for a couple of years. In fact, they designated me as a COO also and a consultant. But then I moved on after 2 years and then consulted various other industries. And during which I learned Agile methodology, I learned Scrum, and I became the certified Scrum Master. I became the certified Scrum Master. I learned a lot of things. I helped the teams, conduct backlog meetings, initiate the sprints, and help the development team to, stand up meetings, set up Kanban boards, and then, sprint delivery, sprint retrospective, and all that. I'm going to explain all this. So here, the point here is everybody wants to be a lifelong learner. I wanted people in this community to be lifelong learner. How many of you really want to become lifelong learners? Type yell in the chat box if you want to become lifelong learners. I'm really observing how many people are putting in the chat box, because let me tell you one thing. The major investment, if you see the return on investment, if you see, the best return on investment is invest in yourself. That's what I have seen. You might invest in fixed deposit, you might invest in share markets, stock markets, I'll tell you. But if you invest in yourself, that is the best investment you can ever do. And when I talk about investment, it's not just the money, but the time investment that I'm talking about to make yourself more valuable, and it will benefit you multifold. How many of you agree with me? Type agree. If you super agree with me, type yes, A in the chat box. And okay, I also want to share. That's why I too constantly invested in myself. I did BE Mechanical from one of the premier institutes called Burndown Institute of Technology and Science. And out of interest in mathematics, I did MSc in mathematics. Then I did MTech in technological operations. I did MBA in finance. I did MBA in marketing. I even, for personality development, personal development, I did NLP certification. I did Bachelor's certification. I did emotional freedom technique, EFT certification. And I did training on project management. I got certified in project management. I got Scrum certified. This just recalled to me, certified. And I also, continued this lean passion to become doctorate in lean methodology. So the reason that I'm sharing with you is lifelong learners. That's the best investment that you can ever do in terms of time and effort that you put there. So how many of you really will invest in yourself? Type IIM in the chat box. Invest in myself. That's very important. I'm not talking about just money portion of it. The time that you spend on becoming yourself, more valuable is important. That's what I'm talking about. Great. Super. So the Scrum methodology, it's also called as Agile project management framework. It emphasizes iterative development. And there is something called as a sprint that I will explain you. This is a symbol that is generally used in this. There is a time period that's a clock, and this circle denotes some steps in the process, which I'm going to explain. And this is the delivery deployment. And then you go through another sprint and continuously go up. Now, let me quickly explain to you about Scrum and waterfall methodologies. Suppose if you are having a piece of software, if you want email delivery software, what you do is, if you load it with features, I want email this, I want email this, here this much attachment should go, I want to send videos, I want to send, what is that? I wanted to actually report spam, I wanted so many loaded features that you see in the email today. Suppose if you give all those requirements to a software developer, it's going to take very long time for him to meet all the requirements How many of you agree? Just type agree in the chat box. It's going to take a lot of time. And what happened in particularly software industry is, by the time he goes half the way, the concept itself becomes outdated. The scope changes, the time changes, the cost changes. So this is called typically the triple constraint in project management. There'll be a scope creep, there'll be a cost creep, there'll be a time creep, and all that. Now, the best way to do is something that is usable. Let's say that I want to send you one line of a text message, you want to reply to me. It's a simple thing that we can, which is a usable thing, which is easy to make. How many of you understood? Give me a 9 or 10 if you have understood. Suppose if I say, no features, no peripherals, all I want to do is, I wanted to text you something, you text me back so that we keep the communication intact. This is a simple start. This is called as a sprint. And then you can say, hey, now it is just not text. I want to highlight that text. I want to make it bold. I want to underline the rich HTML that can be in the second iteration. How many of you are clear? Just type SC super clear in the chat box. That can be after 15 days. I will include this feature also. So that is also a usable feature. Then you say, hey, now initially for the first 10 days, you developed just text messages. Then the next 10 days or 15 days, let's call, because the sprint is generally 15 days. Next 15 days, you also added feature of bold, underline, color, and all that. Can you help me, I had an attachment along with it. An attachment may not be a big thing, just a simple document attachment. So that can be in the next 15 days. How many of you are clear about this? Type SC in the chat box again. So next 15 days is another sprint. Then now you say is, hey, now that you have given me not only text, but you can bold, highlight, another, now I can attach that. Can I also hyperlink some other thing so that it can direct me towards this? And can you also, give me a filter option where I can filter such messages and put it in a particular folder? Or can I also delete that, mark as important, mark as, star it, put a star on that, etc., etc. You can keep on adding as you see the Outlook today, as you see the Gmail today, as you see so many mailing softwares today. And this is the iterative process of this Scrum. If you found this example interesting, valuable, useful, fantastic, awesome, for those who are new, please type in the chat box. I'll draw inspiration from that. If this is clear. So that's the difference between a typical waterfall type of methodology and an iterative process. I will tell you something. I will tell you something personal iterative process in your goal achievement. Can I share with you? Please type share in the chat box. I'll share with you. Which I use the same sprint type of methodology in my thing. For example, if I want to improve my health, you can have a laundry list of many things that you might have to do, right? You might have a laundry list, but those laundry list of things may not be, it might create so much of, you'll be so overwhelmed that the very sight of it will look like, oh my God, so many things to do. When am I possibly going to achieve everything? No. So you break down into small things and see what is valuable to you. For example, if you have been eating very late at night, I've been eating very late at night. After this session, by 10 o'clock, I was eating. The next day morning, it looked very heavy on my stomach. I was not energetic. So I did a small backlog, which I said that, okay, I will eat before 7:30 p.m. Small things. And I also said a small thing like I'll drink 2 glasses of water early in the morning, warm water in the morning in the empty stomach. And so small habits that if you go together. And I didn't say I'll go for a long walk. I said I will get out and walk for 15 to 20 minutes. That's enough. But I'll make it as a daily part of my routine. Like I'm doing at least every Wednesday, I will commit myself to the entire community in this world for sharing this best business practices. And I've been doing it for 3 years. Right? So how many of you felt this is useful? Take small steps, useful in your life. It is, and even a book is not, if you see the book, it will be a big book. If you see the epics like Ramayana, Mahabharata, or Bible, or Quran, or whatever it is, it's going to be very big. But all that is advised is take one shloka at a time, take one verse at a time, and go through it and read it. And over a period of time, you're going to complete the entire book. And that's the same thing here. So coming back here, in the Scrum methodology, it is designed to help the teams efficiently handle continuous improvement and meet tight deadlines. So it is generally one iteration will last for 2 weeks or 4 weeks. We call it as a 2-week sprint or a 4-week sprint. So once you deliver this stage by stage, you need not have a huge workforce to take care of so many requirements parallelly. And this also, since you're focusing on a small valuable portion, it's speeding up the release also. Release means, sharing to the customer a valuable portion of the product. Okay, the process is like this. First is you have a project. What is a project? Project is like you wanted to make Uber software, correct? Or you wanted to make a software for learning management. Then we see what is the entire requirement that is needed. So all of you type backlog in the chat box. So backlog is nothing but the entire requirement, what is there in customer's mind. And then what is done is the backlog, some portion of what can be done and within 2 weeks or 4 weeks, 2 weeks or 4 weeks, what can be done is taken out. Like you remember, I said, texting back and forth is taken out. For example, WhatsApp also developed like that. Initially, it was just a texting. After that, it has got, it had added, you can add images. After that, it had a video limitation, it added videos. Now it has got, the timer also, self-discretion, disappearing messages. Okay, now it has got a poll also. Now they have added channels, they have added community. So the software is slowly building. But you should understand that in every iteration, it is a usable piece of a software, but constantly in iterative manner, it is being developed and the bar is raised. If you can understand, type I see you. I can understand. Some people who enter new will be wondering why people are in ICU. So once the portion of what can be delivered in 2 to 4 weeks, that is planned, then implemented, it is reviewed, a retrospect, and then there is a daily Scrum meeting, and finally it is deployed. Now, so we have this planning, implementation, there is a backlog, then there is a planning, there is an implementation, there is a review, and there is a retrospect. So all of you write in your notebook, BPI double R. BPI double R. Please write in your notebooks, BPI double R. Now, first, if you see, this is called user stories. The word that is used is stories. Stories is nothing but when they explain what they want in a software, that means they are narrating a story. From the story, you need to get the requirements of what they have. Oh, I want this, I want this, I want this, I want that. I wanted people to be able to log in. I wanted people to see the location. I wanted people to do this, to get this report, to do that. And all that they'll explain in the form of a story. It's called story. And it's put in the form of a backlog and like this. And some portion of the backlog, which is useful, which can be done in 2 to 4 weeks, is done as a sprint. And then the planning is done, and finally it is delivered. Finally, it is delivered. There is something called definition of done. Don't worry about that. And then you have certain stakeholders in this. One is the product owner, then Scrum Master. And then finally, the customer will check this and approve this. So far, if it is clear on a scale of 1 to 10, please give me a 9 or 10. I'll go a little bit deeper into this and make it very interesting for you. I'll go a little bit deeper. I'm actually spending a little bit more time on this because there might be many people from IT industries. They'll ask, okay, how does this Lean Six Sigma, all that is in IT industry, right? Then what I want to share with you is this. Now we have seen the symbol. I'm going to take you to some roles here. There are 3 types of roles: Scrum role, Scrum artifact, and Scrum ceremony. All of you type SR, SA, and SC. Okay, SR, SA, and SC. Because see, what happens is, I'll tell you, this is very, very important that we stay connected and continuously learn. And we spread this message all over the world, okay? So with that, these are the Scrum role, Scrum artifact, and Scrum ceremonies that we do. So you have the stakeholders here. Then there is a product owner, development team, and Scrum Master. Okay, Scrum Master is like a lean champion, Kaizen champion, whatever it is. Okay, there is some person who actually end-to-end takes care of the entire thing, who is like orchestra, that band, somebody will do that, right? What is his name? I don't know. Can you help me with the name, that choir or whatever, whomever you call? What's the name that you call? Western people, please help me in that. Somebody who sees the note and conductor. Or there's a different word, I thought. Only conductor, is it? Whoever it is. So product owner, development team, and a Scrum Master. Then there is a product backlog. So you understand what is a product backlog. Now the customer tells a story and all the requirements are written and it's form of a backlog. And then there is a sprint planning. So if you see here, the gray one is a role, and then Scrum artifact. The Scrum artifact backlog, product backlog is a Scrum artifact. That is some tool in Scrum, okay, some procedure in Scrum, the artifact in Scrum. And Scrum ceremony. This ceremony is sprint planning meeting is something that we should do, right? So we do it in 1 to 4 week sprint that I told you. And then another Scrum artifact is sprint backlog. Sprint. This is product backlog. If you sprint backlog, if you see the product backlog, there are a lot of squares in that sprint backlog. You take a portion of that, right? And you have a goal for this of delivery of what is the definition of done, right? The functionality that you're going to test and say that, hey, it is done, right? Okay, fantastic. So from there, you go to the sprint retrospective. Okay, sprint retrospective is towards the end. After you deliver the sprint, you do the sprint reviews. Sprint retrospective is done after you do the delivery, so that the refinement meeting also happens. And while you're doing this, the daily stand-up meeting also happens. The daily role, the daily stand-up meeting also happens. So that's how the Scrum role, the Scrum artifact, the Scrum ceremony is conducted. So with that, I will continue this session in the next session. If you found this session interesting, valuable, useful, fantastic, awesome, whatever that you felt, put it in the chat box.